So the first question we have from Kevin is, does Wi-Fi or Ethernet make a difference? Now, the quick answer to that is yes. For a stable, reliable, dependable connection, I would always recommend wired over wireless. Now, typically on your Fire Sticks, as they don't have an Ethernet port built in, it does mean you have to use the Amazon or different Ethernet adapter. And using that adapter with an OTG cable, it means that you are limited to 480 megabits, which is actually the limitation of USB 2. Now, in some cases, you may find that you can actually get a faster speed by using a wireless connection. But the thing with wireless is it's all depending on, how far you are from your router or router, how many walls, how many obstructions, how many things are in the way. But then also things like interference, how many other devices are using the same Wi-Fi channel. So there's just so many more variables in the mix when you are using a wireless connection. So I would always recommend connecting over Ethernet. And even if you get 100 meg on Ethernet, that's more than enough for even 4K streaming. Next up, we have a question from John, who asks that, will the MPAA and other similar groups make real progress in combating piracy? Now, that's a great question because, since the dawn of time where people have had to pay for something, people are always trying to find loopholes or shortcuts in how to get something for free. Now, with regards to digital content like movies or applications or games, then I think, going back many, many years, even for, devices like the Spectrum Plus 2, even on that device, which had a single tape deck, and that's how you used to load your games, people worked out that if they buy a double tape deck, they can actually copy cassettes. So you can buy a blank cassette and copy your game from one cassette onto the other. And then similarly for your other, consoles and other devices, people are always looking for ways on how they can actually get this content for free. And of course, with movies, people are able to find applications online which will allow them to, find this content online for free. So I think in that example, the MPAA and other organizations, they are constantly looking for ways on how they can, shut down these sites, shut down these applications, and basically just make it harder for you to, access this content. And it's the exact same thing with YouTube, where if you guys remember from a few years ago, you could find, videos online on pretty much how to access and watch and, download and, do everything online. Now, with obviously pressure from these big companies, they've now forced YouTube to pretty much delete videos and delete entire channels if people try to share that kind of information. Just like we saw with the sad news regarding Kevin Porteous's channel, which was completely removed from YouTube because he was sharing information that they didn't like. So in summary, I would say yes, they will make some progress, but like all things, they'll shut down a couple of things over here, and other avenues and other ways and other processes will just appear over here. So yes, they may make some progress, but they'll never completely wipe out piracy because there's just too much demand for it. Next up, we have a question from King Deuce, which is best app for clearing cache. Now, unfortunately, if your device runs Android 6 and above, so your 4K Fire Sticks, your second generation Fire TV Cubes, due to the Android security permissions, there's no application, no single application that you could start and then with one click clear all of the cache for all of your applications. So unfortunately, an app like that just doesn't exist because of those security restrictions. Now, if we had admin access, root access to our devices, then that would be a different answer, but generally by and large, there's no single application that can do that right now. Next question we have from Big Box Radio, and he's asking, presuming it's a he, do VPNs like Proton VPN really stop applications like Streamio and Popcorn Time from causing flags or warnings to your ISP providers? I would say for this one that if you are using applications that have torrent facilities to download content that could be seen as infringing, then in that example I would definitely recommend using a VPN, because when you do activate your VPN, your ISP cannot see what you're downloading. Yes, they can see that you're connecting to certain addresses, but they cannot actually see the content of that VPN tunnel. So if you are downloading content that could be seen as infringing, then in that scenario, I would recommend a VPN. Next up, we have a question from Steve, who asks that, are gold HDMI leads worth the extra money? Now the quick answer to that is no, because when you're talking about HDMI, you're dealing with the digital signal. Now, unlike an analog signal where it does depend on the connection, the cable, interference, all of these things will make difference for an analog connection. But for HDMI connection, it's digital. So either it works and you see the picture, or it doesn't work. So because it's digital, you really don't need to spend that extra money and buy gold-plated HDMI leads. Next up, we have a question from Paul Hill, and that's, is the Fire TV Cube a good device? Well, simply put, if you are happy with the Amazon ecosystem and you are just looking for the fastest device you can buy, then definitely and by far the second generation Fire TV Cube is that device. So it's light years faster than the 4K Fire Stick. It has more RAM. It has that hexa-core processor. I mean, that's not to say that it doesn't have any faults, like it doesn't have built-in Ethernet, it doesn't have any USB ports, full-size USB ports. So it does have some issues, but again, if you do want the fastest Amazon device, that's definitely the device to buy. Next up, we have a question from Elizabeth, who asks that, how do I delete applications after downloading it from Apk Time from my Android box? Well, let's do this in real time. So for example, if I go to Android TV, and let's say, for example, I want to download Plex. So when I click on download, that initiates the download. Let's leave that as is. Now, if I go back to my home screen, now if I open up any File Explorer application like ES File Explorer, we can see on this Android device, there is actually a dedicated folder called Apk Time. Now, any application you download from this application, it gets saved into this list here. So here we can just see Plex and some of the other applications I previously downloaded. So you can imagine that if you are downloading lots of applications with this app, then this folder can fill up, taking up lots of space. So I would recommend maybe checking this once a week, and you can then just highlight all of these previously downloaded applications and just flush them out or delete them and get all of that space back. Next up, we have a question from a fellow YouTuber, Country Tekin, who asks that most YouTubers in this genre promote a VPN. Does a VPN truly hide your identity while online? Now, I may get some hate comments for this or negative comments for this, but I would say that a VPN does not completely or truly hide your identity online. Simply for the fact that if you look at things like, cookies, tracking adverts, especially if you're logging into services. For example, if I activate my VPN, but then I log into my Facebook account, then they're going to see that I'm logging into my Facebook account. So it's not really hiding your identity if you're logging into your services or, using a browser that allows third-party tracking cookies. While I will say that a VPN can help in hiding your identity or masking your identity online, but it really has to be used in conjunction with other security and privacy best practices to ensure that your identity remains as anonymous as it can be online. So in summary, it's not a case of just activate your VPN and you're now completely anonymous online, but rather that a VPN can help with other things to help you stay anonymous online. And lastly, we have the question from Newstar, who asks that, is RD and VPNs a waste of money? Now, very quickly, I can tell you that RD is absolutely not a waste of money. Once you try a link, which is a premium link, which is what RD gives you, it allows you to access premium file servers for your content. And these file servers have typically much better bandwidth, much better hardware, and more importantly, the only people that can use them are the ones that are paying money. So now comparing that to a free server, which typically has less bandwidth, but more importantly, as you have thousands and thousands of people all trying to get their free content from free servers, those servers are always just maxed out, which in turn for you means you typically see buffering because all those people trying to access the same content, those free servers just can't keep up, and the result is you get buffering. Whereas with the premium servers that RD provides, I've never really seen any kind of buffering on those servers. So if you do like your high quality video links with the best bit rates, with the best sound quality, then definitely RD or really any premium file hoster service is definitely not a waste of money. Now with VPNs, it is a use case. I mean, some people literally do nothing online until they activate their VPN. Other people in other parts of the world would never use a VPN. So it really depends on your use case. I personally do use a VPN when I'm doing certain activities online, but For example, I would never really activate my VPN when watching Netflix, unless of course I'm trying to access geo-restricted content. So I would say it does depend on your use case. So that's all for this video, guys, or should I say that's all for episode 1 of Tech Doctor's most popular streaming questions asked by you guys, answered by me. But that's not to say that what I'm saying is 100% right. I'm always open for debate, so do leave me a comment below, let me know what you thought about my answers, and more importantly, please do leave questions for episode 2. And if this video gets to 1,000 likes, which shows to me that you guys are interested, then I'll definitely go ahead and create part 2 of this series. So really appreciate your support. Do leave me a comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll hopefully catch up with you guys real soon. Thanks.